Good evening. Saldi Vav Amud Aleph, first wide line. Sorry, second wide line. I had a question. We know that if a person steals something and then he were to want to return it, to pay the improvements, don't pay the improvements because of the takana shavim. We want people to do teshuvah. If they have to pay for the improvements, maybe they won't do it. Question: what if a goy does it? Are we going to make a takana for a goy to do teshuvah? Meaning, the only reason why we did it for a Jew that he doesn't have to pay is because we want him to do teshuvah and we don't want to dissuade him. But who cares? Why would we do the same thing for a goy? No, it's referring to a case where the goy stole it and then sold it to the Jew who made the improvement. So no, what's the problem? If he's coming through a goy, it's still for the goy. Meaning it's still you're saying that the takana should be for a goy. Says no. A Jew stole it, sold to the goy, and the goy improved it. Then the goy sold it to a Jew. What's the halacha? Do we say since it was started by a Jew, stolen by a Jew, and ended by a Jew, with the goy in between, therefore it should apply? Or maybe since there's a goy in the middle, the takana will fall apart. No answer. Someone stole a palm tree from his friend and cut it down. Even though he cut it from his land into his own land, Lakani doesn't acquire it. My time, why doesn't he acquire it by cutting it? It was a palm tree, still a palm tree. We didn't have enough of a change. If he cut a palm tree, turn into logs, he doesn't acquire it. Because it's still considered palm tree logs. But if he made it into the logs into beams, that's a significant change, and therefore he acquires it. If he stole big beams, made them into small beams, it's not an acquisition because it's still a beam. However, if he made the beams into boards, that's a significant change, and he acquires it. Someone stole the lulav and cut off the leaves. He acquires it. Because originally it was lulav, now they just have leaves. If he stole the lulav leaves and made them into a broom, he acquires it as well because was a leaf and were leaves and now it's a broom. If he stole a broom and made it into a rope, it's not acquiring. Why? Because you can easily unravel the rope to make it into a broom again. What if you take off the top part of the lulav? You split the top stem. I don't know if that's the right term, but the top piece where the thing branches off. Does that consider it enough of a change? Regarding Hilchot Lulav of Sukkot, if you take off that piece, that is pasul. My lav maybe you might think if you split it as well, that should be enough of a split that is make an item pasul, and also to make it a change for stealing to acquire it. When it says removing it is different. Because now it's not complete. You could have a different way explaining it. If it's split it, it's as if you removed it and it's pasul. We see from there that it is considered a change and the robber would acquire it. Someone stole earth from his friend, and he made it into brick isn't acquired. Why? Can you make it into earth again? But if you stole a brick and you made it into earth, you can acquire it. Why would you say that it shouldn't acquire it? Because maybe you might think since he can make it into a brick again, that's like reversible change. But that's technically a new brick. And that's considered a new face, a new complete item. Similarly, someone stole a silver bar from his friend and made it into a coin. He doesn't acquire it. My time, why? Because he could turn back into a silver bar. If he stole coins and made him into a silver bar, he acquires it. Why wouldn't it work? Because maybe he can make them back into coins, and therefore it should be considered reversible, and therefore he should not acquire it. When you make it into a new coin, it's like a new face, a new item, and therefore it's not considered reversed. If he stole old tarnished silver coins and he shined them, that's not an acquisition. But if you stole new ones and you made them tarnished, that does acquire it. My Martin, why would you say it shouldn't acquire it? Maybe you could reshine them. That's not good enough. You'll always know. You can always tell that it will never be as freshly shiny as it was when you first stole it. Zakla. Right, so the Mishnah was giving the cases regarding the robbers and this case and that case, and then he gave a rule. Zakla. All robbers pay the value of the robbery. So now the problem with whenever it says Zehakla, the Gemara will always ask, La tu'emai, what are you including by saying this is the rule? You gave 3 examples. And you say, the rule is whenever you have this, it's this. Whenever the robber steals it, you pay the time of the robbery. Okay, but you just gave examples. So what are you including by telling me the rule? What does the rule include? La tu'e it's coming to include a bi'ila. Ganav talev and asa ayla. If someone stole a lamb and it turned into a ram, it matured into a ram. Ayla and asa short, a calf turned into an ox. Nasa shouldn't be a that's considered a change, and he acquires it. And then if he were to sell it or slaughter it, that's his item that's considered slaughtering and selling, and therefore he's patur from 4 or 5 payments because you're only chayav if you slaughtered or stole the other guy's item. But because it matured into quote unquote a new item, a new animal, it's yours. It's your stolen item that now belongs to you, and therefore you're patur from 4 or 5. There was a guy who stole 2 oxen from his friend. He went and used them to plow the field. He used it to seed the field as well. Then he ended up returning the animals to his friend. Thank you so much. They came from Rahman. Go and check how much money the field improved, and then you have to pay him. What, the oxen were the only thing responsible for the price of the property to go up? No, the property also went up due to the plantings and stuff, but that wasn't only the animal doing that. Why should the guy get the entire improvement? Amar Rahman said, "Be kamina and the I say you have to give him everything. Palga kamina. I'm just saying give him half. Amalei says, but still, so stuff what's considered robbery because he's giving back the animals. It's not the Mishnah says and he's returning the animals. So why would you have to pay the improvement of the field? Didn't I ever tell you when I'm sitting in court, don't say anything to me, don't bother me? Because if Huna, our friend, would say about me that me and King Shabur, which is referring to Shemuel, are brothers in halachot dinin of money. Now, don't mess with us. The reason why we were being strict with this guy is because he's a frequent flyer robber. He always robs, and therefore we want to penalize him extra. New Mishnah. Someone stole an animal that got old. Slaves that got old. You pay the value of the robbery. Big says, the slaves you can return as is. If someone stole a coin and it cracked, fruits that rotted, wine and it got sour, you pay the value of the robbery. If he stole the coin and it became disqualified, meaning the coin itself is still the same. I have a quarter, it's still a quarter, but the US Mint announces that we're not going to use quarters anymore. You can't use it as currency. The coin itself didn't change, but rather the rule changed about the coin, right? The coin didn't crack. The coin's still there. Or tirumat binitmet, or tirumah that became tameh. Or hametz v'alad pesach, you stole hametz and pesach passed over. All these cases are things where the thing is still there. The item, the trumah became tameh. Also, the item is still there, just became tameh. Or behema v'nitabda ba'avirav. You have an animal, and avira was used for it, whether it was bestiality or it was used in avodah zarah. Or it had a movement, it became pasul for the mizbeach. Or he was chayav skila. In those cases, you could say, here's your animal back, here's your item back, as is. Not my problem that it is useless to you now. Okay. Lo heskina much. When it says that it got old, it didn't mean actually got old. Even if it got weaker, that's even if it just became weaker without getting skinny, that's also considered a change. But on his skin, our Mishnah clearly said it got older. So how can you change that? So the Gemara says, it became skinny as if it got aged, which means what? Just like age, you can't reverse. So it's referring to a case where it got weaker, where you can't return it to original health. Afilu ganav to live in Asa, someone stole a lamb and it became into a ram, egel ben Asa, a short calf into an ox. Nasa kishinu b'yadov, that's considered change, and you acquire it. If you slaughtered it or sold it, it's yours that you slaughtering and sold, and you're patur from 4 or 5. Amar later, Vashri said, don't change the names of when you're quoting someone. Make sure you quote the right guy, because that is how much that's according to the Bil'ah. Okay, regarding the Ayved, Rabbi Meir said you can return it. Sounds like the animal you can't. Amar Rav Hamina bar Avid Mia halacha kelmid halacha, according to Rabbi Meir, that you could do the slaves, they're like land, and you could return it because it is not considered stolen, like land. But Rav Shavik Rabbanan Rabbi Meir. 1 second, does Rav really hold like Rabbanan and not like Rabbi Meir? Why would he not like hold like the Rabbim? Amrei, we say Mishum de Baraita Ipcha, because he has the Baraita that's the opposite of that, and therefore he switches it. Can you're gonna ditch a Mishnah's halacha because the Baraita quotes it the opposite way? Rav teaches the Mishnah opposite as well. What Hachamim held is what Rameir and Hachamim. My time, why would Rav switch the Mishnah because of the Braita? Switch the Braita because of what the Mishnah said. Switch everything and say the halacha Rabbanan against the mayor. Amrei, he says, he says, no, Rav also learned the opposite way, and therefore he never had a problem in the first place. He heard that Rabbanan and Rameir were the opposite halachot. A different answer. When do I not switch one for the next? When it's a one-on-one. When it's a 1 verse 2, you do switch. Tanya have a Braita that teaches me according to my own halacha. If we do halipin, I'm in East 23rd, you are in Deal. Our farm, we each have farms in upstate New York, and we do halipin, pick up handkerchiefs. I sell you my donkey, you sell me your cow, and we go back. Or if someone sold a evet shifcha kananit and they gave birth, right? So either the cow gave birth or the shifcha kanani gave birth after we did the transaction, and we weren't there to know when it gave birth. The first guy says she gave birth in my property, before we did the transaction. The other guy doesn't know. Zachaba, the guy who claimed that he knows, he acquires it because Bari Vishima Bari Adif, the guy who knows and the guy who's not Safek, but the guy who's certain is better. They both say, I don't know. They split it. They each say it's mine. The seller shall swear that she gave birth while it was in his property and it belongs to him. Because whenever whoever swears by according to halakha and Torah, you swear and you're not chayav anymore. We don't swear with avadim and land. The Gemara says, if Rav already said that we switched the halachot, halakha according to the Meir, halakha kalaban b'alei. You would have to say halakha according to Chachamim in this case, because we're swapping. We're still swapping. According to you, who switched the halachot of Rav and Meir, halakha kalameir. I hold like what Rabbi Meir said according to your switcheroo. Does Rav really hold it? A slave is considered land and you can't steal it. Someone grabbed someone else's slave and made him work it for him. You're not have to pay him for the use of the slave. If you consider it like land, on my patur, why you should patur? It's like using someone else's land, and you should be chayav. While the guy is not working. Right, similar to a case, the guy is not working, is similar to a case where someone else squats on someone else's property. Does he have to pay? Or you have to pay rent or not? You don't have to pay rent because it doesn't affect you. That makes sense according to the guy who's squatting there. Right? There's 2 reasons why someone might say that if you live somewhere, if you squat by someone else's property, it's good for them. According to One opinion is because when people live there, they keep it in good. They upkeep the upkeep. The second opinion holds that there's a shindal, that there's a demon that breaks down uninhabited places. So according to either one, regarding the squatting situation, people might appreciate it. But regarding the Eved, that's not comparison. That's not comparable because maybe you're weakening the Eved by using him during his free time. When it says Amre, no, he likes it because now his Eved won't become lazy by having too much time off. Rabbi Yosef Bar Hana would grab people's slaves who owed him money, and force them to work for him. Rabbi, his son, said to him, why would he do this, Dad? He says to him, a slave is not worth the bread of his stomach. Yani, it costs more for the master to feed him than what he accomplishes in work. Therefore, I'm doing the guy a favor by feeding the Ayud and making him work for me. That only makes sense according to Rav Nachman, who said that because his Ayved Daru was not a good guy. He would always dance in the bars to get wine. But most Avadim in general, it's worth it. They do earn their keep. He says, "Mana kirav Daniel sivridai holak Daniel. Amar Daniel ma'ar timarav to give Abdul Shavro basulu chapatur. Alani chiledula this Rav. They say, I like the rabbi who tells that if you're keeping someone else's eved working and you're not letting him get used to his time off, yeah, I'm keeping him not lazy. When it says it's still a problem because even if according to that opinion, it's a problem. That's only where it works, where the guy who grabbed the master's eved doesn't owe, is not owed money by that eved, by that master. But you, my father, who's grabbing that guy's eved who owes you money, it'll look like rebit because if he lets you use the eved, or people see, or you're using someone else's item that owes you money, and then you get paid back, the usage of that eved will be like extra, and that's considered like rebit. Like we know this case, even though we said you're able to squat in someone else's property, have the knowledge, and you don't have to pay rent. But if you lent him money, then he squatted in your property, you squat in his property, you have to pay him rent because that's considered a beat. Because it sounds like he's not only did he lend you money, not he lent him money, now you're letting him stay for free. The opposite. You lent him money, now he's staying in your property for free. That's like you're paying him the money and rent, and therefore and free rent. Therefore, you have to pay him rent to cancel it out so it doesn't look like rebit. Marle, hadribi, you know what? You're right, and I'll stop doing that thing where I take other people's avadim.